Hello guys, it is again Thursday. This time it is Thursday the 9th of July, 10:05 a.m. in lovely old London. I am just on my way to get a blood test. The first one I have done while being in the UK. Well, they do it a little bit differently here. It's actually a little bit easier than what it is in Australia. But very much like you would in Australia, where you kind of go on iMedical or you kind of go on one of those private clinics. You just purchase your blood test. They actually send you a package, which I've got in my little bum bag here. You just take that package to the nearest facility that tests for labs, and then you have it back in a day. So much cheaper too than what it is in Australia through private testing. So that is lovely. But I thought I would, in the meantime, do a little Q&A, something I haven't done on YouTube for a long time. So I chucked up some questions on Instagram, and I've got a few good ones to reel off. So, God, this area is just so nice. I'm walking towards Chelsea. So I live up there in South Kensington, and down here is Chelsea. It is beautiful here in summer, like just fucking stunning. Anywho, first question that I have, which was asked and has been asked a lot, is how did I go about moving to the UK, and how much did it cost all up? I'm not going to be able to give you a specific figure because I don't actually know. If I did, there would probably be tears running down my face. I will preface by saying it can be done much cheaper than what I did it. But I thought, if I'm going to live in London, I'm happy to spend for the experience of actually living in London. I don't want to do what all the other Australians do. And it's like, I'm leaving Australia, so let me move to Clapham, where everyone else lives that's Australian. Like, might as well have just stayed in Australia. So I decided to move to South Kensington, which is in the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea. And it is definitely, really the West London in general is what you would describe to be more of the upper wealthy class, I suppose. And not saying that's me, but it is definitely more of the kind of London you would imagine, the more pretentious. So how much did it cost? Well, the youth mobility visa, which is what I am on, which is 2 years with a 1-year extension, costs, I think, about $3,000 all up Australian to have applied for and approved. If you want to factor in how much it kind of costs to pack everything up and move out of my place in Sydney, it was probably a couple grand. So what's that? 5,000 Australian. Flights, obviously, I went a little bit more expensively. Again, you can do this a lot cheaper, but business class flights, I think, were about 7 or 8 grand, so you're looking at about 12 all up now, I would say. And then I Airbnb'd for a while. I could have stayed in a hostel, but I Airbnb'd for a while I was looking for my place. I didn't come over with a place. I really wanted to take my time. I probably spent about 5 or 6 grand over the month, being in various different Airbnbs in different areas. So it takes us to about 16, 17,000. And then when I got my place, I don't have any credit history here in the UK, right? So I wasn't able to display, despite savings, I wasn't able to display that I could, at least, in their kind of eyes of legitimacy, that I could pay the monthly rental requirements. So I just decided that I would pay up front, and that kind of also got me the place as well, considering that I was the only person prepared to do that amongst a pretty high demand market for rentals in South Kensington. So that cost me £55,000 for the year. £55,000 is about 110,000 Australian dollars at the time. Yes, I know it's very expensive. I'm not out of touch. I'm not insane. But again, I thought if I'm going to be in London, even if it's just a year, let me spend for the experience of actually living in London. And that is probably the biggest cost of London, is the cost of living in terms of housing. Anyway, it's about £950 a week. Well, it is £950 a week, which is about 1,800 Australian dollars a week. So I ended up paying all of that, not to mention obviously furniture, which probably was an extra £5,000, so 10,000. So we were already at 20,000, 130,000 Australian, 140,000 with furniture. Yeah, I'd say it probably cost $140,000. However, I obviously didn't have to, or you wouldn't have to pay up front, nor would you have to pay that much. You know, if you wanted to live in East London, maybe half the price of that. If you wanted to live further out, even less. It's not completely like impossible by any means, but as you can see on these videos, where I live is very nice, and I wanted that to be the case. You know, this is where I've always loved when I've come to London, and I thought it would be an experience of a lifetime, even if I just did it for a year. Holy fuck, what people don't tell you about walking and talking is my shoulder is getting fucking sore. But nonetheless, I'd say about 140. Now, if you remove that and just do, you know, the moving costs and stuff, it's probably 20 to 30,000, and you could probably make it as cheap as 10 to 15. So that is that. Okay, so next question. Bodybuilding plans, personally. So, personally, my plans within bodybuilding, it's actually, as of late, I've just had this conversation with Dean, and that we are going to aim for season A, or around about the first half of the year in 2028. And the goal for me is to come with a significantly improved package. Otherwise, there is just, I don't believe, any point. I am under no illusions that I am going to be a professional open bodybuilder. If it happened, by some chance, of course, I would absolutely accept the professional status. However, my passion lies in the pursuit of Crabtree Performance and the pursuit of all the athletes within it. And as a byproduct, I also love the sport, and I love the competitive drive that I take into every day, knowing that I am committed to the next 90 plus weeks. After that, I will probably hang it up, to be honest. Not that there's going to be much to hang up, a few amateur medals, but that will really, if I can come back with, 10 plus kilograms of additional mass, with more conditioning, 3-ish years later, and achieve my potential without any risk, very little risk, then I will be content. There are other things I want to do in life. For a lot of people, that start bodybuilding in their early 20s or mid 20s, to retire from amateur or competitive bodybuilding at the age of 29, 30 would probably seem early. But for myself, I started training with physique development in mind when I was, actually, you guys want to see something cool? I'm supposed to go back there, but I want to show you guys something cool. This is where I stayed when I came to London prior to moving. I stayed right here. And I thought, I need to be in this area. But what I was saying was, for me, having first, really, I've been doing sport, I've been in sport competitively my entire life. But I started training with the intention of improving my physique at 14. I'm now 28. I stayed here. So I'm now 28. I will be nearly 30. I'll be 2 months away from 30 by the time I compete next. And for me, that's half of my life. Half of my life I've spent in the pursuit of bettering my physique, looking at my physique in a specific way. And yes, there's been phases where I've taken breaks, I've given myself periods of time of relaxation, but to spend half my life, it's a long time. And there are other pursuits that after bodybuilding is all said and done, that I'll very much enjoy. So we are 90 weeks out, and then we're wrapping it up.
You're okay with needles, yeah?
Yeah. Not too bad.
Just look away if you're...
Okay. It's more it's less the needle, more the blood. I'm not the biggest fan of like heaps of blood, but yeah, I'll be fine.
Here we go now, sharp
Yep.
scratch.
Thank you.
So just press it for me, and then I'll just label this for you.
Okay, thank you.
So what's your channel all about?
Kind of like bodybuilding and stuff. Yeah, the gym.
So is it just on YouTube, or you're also building on Instagram?
Instagram probably bigger than YouTube. Yeah. So the next question was from Jamie. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Sorry, Jamie. I just know that you're one of Bo's athletes. Nevertheless, what do I love about coaching? There are a lot of things I love about coaching. I don't know how to prioritize a list of them, but I think being able to be in partnership and collaboration with an individual who is seeking an extremely niche pursuit of their utmost potential. Really, anybody who is trying to genuinely have competitive success is in their own reality trying to achieve greatness. Greatness for what they deem to be worthy of the obsessive pursuit. And I love being able to build relationship, friendship, memories around just human performance, superhuman performance. It is why I fell in love with coaching in the first place, is not only the development of individuals and their entire lives, but also just the ability to pursue the utmost potential that the body is capable. And not everybody is trying to achieve that. So you have to obviously coach within the context and the confines of that. But that is where my passion truly lies. And the relationships, the memories that come as a result of that are all just a bonus. The next question is, what is an underrated training skill? What is an underrated training skill? I think what's probably underrated, underutilized, is what you would call training arousal. Sounds a little strange, but it is the ability to be within the set, be within your training session, be within your workout, gym session, whatever you want to call it. Because the gym and the nature of the environment of most, at least Australian gyms, is very communal and quite sterile, it's very easy to turn it into a social context, especially if you don't have a specific goal attached to why you're there, where you may be distracted, you may be thinking even the thought of other things while you are trying to actually be within a set. You think of any other sport, any other pursuit. If you're training in football, if you're training in basketball, if you're training in gymnastics, mixed martial arts, swimming, athletics, when you are performing the act, you are thinking about what you are performing. Bodybuilding and training in the gym is one of the only physical pursuits that I commonly see individuals not emotionally involved, not psychologically involved and or aware of what they are specifically doing within any given set. So the ability to find that zone, that flow state within the sets and stay there is definitely an undervalued and underrated skill. Whoa, that's fucking close. How do I fucking zoom that out? Anywho, fuck, this is so nice. Like everywhere you go in this fucking place is just beautiful. Look at that lamp. Look at it. It's like, it's fucking beautiful. It's a lamp. You know you're living in the right place when you get G'd up about a motherfucking lamp. And no doubt, these places are old as fuck. Anywho, what I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by myself and my obsession with lamps. Next question. Actually, let me figure it out. What makes you change or manipulate something? I'm going to assume you're referring to programming or coaching. In that instance, what would make me change or manipulate something? I was actually I think I was having this conversation with Liam in the season. And when you initially start out coaching, everything you do feels like it is a calculated evidence experience or evidence-backed, really meticulously thought out manipulation. You feel as if you're considering all options. And as you develop and you experience and you see response and you learn people, you almost develop what I would describe to be informed instinct, where you make a decision almost so quickly that it feels like there hasn't been consideration involved. However, the rate of that decision making, the speed and the bandwidth in which you can make that decision is so much greater because of that instinctual evidence and informed decisions that you've made for years and years and years and years. So what almost feels like you aren't putting a lot of effort and or thought into it in the initial ends up being a culmination of significant evidence, significant experience over an extended period of time. So the decision making is just quicker. So really what informs me to make a decision is quite literally just that, instinct. Instinct backed by a decade now of experience and even longer of education. How fucking nice is this? How has your coaching developed as you've become more successful and been in the industry longer? I mean, I kind of just answered that question, but I think that for a long period of time, you try to have a point of difference as a coach, whether or not it's, oh, look how successful my athletes are and how happy they are in their preparation phases, or look how easy they're doing it. But at the end of the day, the pursuit is easier and easier for an athlete the longer they've been coached and the better they've been coached. So while yes, you want your athlete to have ease and success, you also have to walk that fine line between doing what is necessary for the goal in which they've hired you for. And I think for me, finding the balance between the morality of knowing I'm having to put someone through something that is incredibly challenging, but also incredibly necessary, has probably gotten easier and easier over time, especially in females. I think that notion of balance has probably changed for me. By all means, there are athletes who you coach that do need, at certain stages, a level of balance. But I've seen time and time again, directly and indirectly, that balance will not cut it if you are trying to be professional within this sport. That doesn't mean you can't have balance within specific phases, because each phase is going to represent the need for something different. But if you truly want to be a professional bodybuilder, male or female, you need to genuinely have a professional obsession. And that doesn't mean that your mind doesn't have balance. Balance of the mind is incredibly powerful, but obsession of the action is what is necessary. And moving away from that notion of everything at all times has to be balanced, I think has been a direct reason as to why the standard of my coaching and the standard of my athletes has continued to improve. And some of that has even been self-driven by, athletes such as Liam. Sometimes it takes seeing an athlete reach heights and reach a standard in which you desired, but you didn't know if that was unattainable and you were asking of too much. And when you see it and you see what it eventuates to, then it's much, much easier to verbalize that to others. And lastly, because this is going to go forever and I'm sweating and I tend to ramble on, what's the question? What are my goals outside of bodybuilding? Fuck, how long do you want to talk about? I tend to not think too far ahead, really. Oh, actually, that's a bit of a lie. I think very, very far ahead in terms of my future, but I don't think in the interim. So I kind of know what I want to achieve or what I'd like to do, but I don't think about how I'm necessarily going to get there. I just do and trust. But I'm still trying to get into film production. It's really hard when I'm as busy with work as I am, and how much there's actually involved in the production of either, blockbuster films, short films, indie or independent films. But trying to kind of dip my toes into the short film production, there's a lot more to it than just paying for it. And continuing to obviously enjoy film, enjoy movies. I find myself ever continuously interested in politics. So, you know what? When I retire from coaching and I'm just running Crab Tree Performance, maybe I'll fucking head back to Australia, and if it's not fixed, I'll tell you what, I'd run for PM. I would. Maybe when I'm 60, 65, if it's not fixed by then I'll see how I can dip my toes into the realm of politics. And I would very much love to make a lot of change. And I feel like through my experiences, I could very much do so. I know how to speak to people. I know how to educate. I know how to inform. And I know how to demand. And I'm also, for those who know me well, not afraid of confrontation. I actually welcome it. So, who knows? If nobody hates you, then you're not doing something right. But nevertheless, I'm pretty much home now. My house is over there. So, that shall do me, guys. Thank you for listening to this ramble. And make sure when your coach asks you to go and get a blood test, it's for a reason. So go and get it done. If you can't afford to get a blood test, you can't afford to be taking PEDs.